Chaos Crossgigas is an enemy that requires very specific skills to beat because of the unique way the enemy can negate our damage. In this video we are going to show the strategy and the skill records that are needed to beat this boss. Chaos Crossgigas is weak to Slash and Holy Element, and like the Chaos Executioners, it has an invisible buff that can reduce our damage significantly. My Mod Sword skills that normally can do 1.4 million damage can only do this much damage on this boss. Thus, we will need a skill that can do Mark debuff to be able to deal good damage to the boss. This boss also has a breakable move that if we fail to break the move, the boss will get damage reduction buff and damage reflection buff. This means that we will not be able to deal any damage if we cannot break this boss. In the first half of the fight, the boss will use a move that we can break with the dagger skill quite regularly. Then when the boss HP drops below 50%, the break move will be breakable with sword and holy skill. The skill break window for both of these moves are quite short, so we will need to be able to break it quickly. If we break those boss moves, the boss will receive 10 stack of damage debuff, which will increase the damage that we can deal to the boss. So the more we break the boss, the easier the fight will be. When the boss HP hits 50%, it will use a longer dagger break move that will require more break skills to break. But if we break this move, the boss will receive 50 stacks of damage debuff. Dallas will also use similar large break move breakable with holy and sword skills when its HP is down to around 25%. This boss's attack at the beginning will inflict a defense debuff and normal attack down to our player that will last for 90 seconds, which will reduce our damage significantly if we are relying on a mod swords as our main damage dealer. So we need to avoid the boss's attack as much as we can. However, when the boss's HP drops below 50%, the attack no longer deals defense debuff. Okay, that's quite a bit of an information on the boss characters. Now let's see the minimum required skills to beat this boss. Because the boss will receive a damage reductions and reflections buff each time we fail to break, we will need a dagger skills and a holy sword skills with a high break values to break the boss. This sparkling Easter Silica skill is one of the skills that we can use to break the boss dagger move. Or if you don't have the skills, we can also break with 2 skills with decent break value. But we need to time hitting the boss when it just started using the break move. If we are a second late, we won't be able to break because we won't be able to use the second skill to break the boss. We can also use an ability skill that can increase break value if we have a skills where the break value is quite high but still not high enough to break the boss in one skill. For a holy sword skill, this Shining Sunshine's Yuki skill is a good skill to use to break the boss because it can break it in one skill only. The Determined to Rebel Kirito is another skill that can be used, but we will need to use the burst move to break the boss. So it is a little difficult because we need to time it very well because there is always the burst animations delay. We may also use the Discover of the Rare Ore Lifa, but we will need to equip the Break Increase ability. The next required skill is the skill with Mark debuff, because without Mark debuff, even my strongest skill will only do a very small damage against this boss. And this boss has more than 36 million HP. Then of course, we will need a strong damage dealer skills to deal damage to the boss. For example, we can use a mod sword with a holy element or no element attached with a skill that can increase our attack by 2 times our defense. Or you can use a holy or non-elemental burst sword skills that have the 2 times defense to attack as well. When you have all those required skills, you will be able to kill the boss fast. Or that's what I thought when I finally got my holy sword mod skill. But in reality, I was struggling a lot. It took me around 8 minutes to beat this boss even with all of those skills. I have to adjust my build multiple times and do around 100 plus runs before I can finally beat this boss within the time that I can be satisfied with. So if you have all the skills and still feel that your time to beat the boss is slow, don't lose heart. You will be able to improve your run if you keep trying to improve your build. And for me, this is the build that enables me to get my best time at the moment. On my main set, I am using a Holy Mod Sword equipped with an attachment that will increase my attack by 2 times my defense on my switch as my main damage dealer because the boss is weak to slash and holy element. I also equipped the piercing hero Kirito for the switch gain so that I can use my switch more often, also to increase my awakening rate. My third skill is the Shining Sunshine Yuki that I used to break the boss sword holy break move, and the last skill is a random Lifa awakening skill to increase my awakening rate and to fulfill the 3 Lifas quota so that I can get 1200 attack on my Discoverer of the Rare Ore Lifa mod skill. For the ability set, I used the Glimpse of Business Yui to get the 660 attack and 23% holy element damage. Since I don't use Alice skills, I also got an extra 18% attack. I have another ability with Power Rise 3 that are max limit broken, but it will reduce my holy element damage if I use the skill, or it requires another character skills that I don't use on my sets to get the maximum bonus. So this Yui is better for my current build, even if it gives me less attack. Then I have a Veteran Sword Technique 4 skills that give me 34% attack, a Lifa skill to activate the 1200 attack on my mod skill, also this Lifa skill can give me 24% slash damage and 4% attack. And last but not least is this Blast Lisbeth skill for the 46.4% defense when my HP is lower than 25%. Yes, the idea is to fight this boss with a low HP because I rely on my mod sword for the damage. And if I get hit by the boss, I would rather die and revive rather than getting the 90 seconds defense debuff, because it will reduce my damage significantly. I use a dagger weapon on my second sets for breaking and applying mark debuff to the enemy. I use the Treasure Hunter Philia to apply mark debuff and give me a holy buff that can add 39% holy damage. Then I have this Tune of Journey Koharu that I use to break the boss dagger move, but the break value is slightly less than what's required to break the boss. Thus I have to equip this Unyielding Swordman Kirito on the ability slot to increase my break gauge. This Koharu skill is also can inflict a death mark debuff on the enemy that will increase my damage by 10%. I will also have a Sparkling Easter Silica skill so I can use it to break the boss bigger break move when the boss HP drop to 50%. On my Koharu, I use another skill that can inflict mark debuff on her switch, a skill that can inflict death mark debuff to the enemy and some attack and defense buff skills. Okay, so those are the skill record that I used to fight this boss. And this is the strategy that I use to fight using those skills record. At the beginning, I will use the Treasure Hunter Philia skill to give me a mark debuff and give me a holy buff before switching to sword and use my mod holy sword skills to inflict damage. When the boss uses a dagger break move, I will switch to dagger and use the Tune of Journey Koharu to break and apply death mark debuff. Then use the Treasure Hunter Philia and switch back to sword to use the mod sword again, and repeat this until the boss HP drop to 50%. When my switch is filled, I will use rush and use my mod skill with the mark debuff that I applied before. Then use my switch, which will also get mark debuff from the Koharu. I will then keep using my switch whenever available and save my next rush for the final showdown. When the boss's HP drops to 50%, it will use the big dagger break move. I will break the boss using the Tune of Journey Koharu and the Sparkling Easter Silica skill. After that, apply the mark debuff again and repeat the skill rotations that I used before. But instead of using the Tune of the Journey Koharu to break, I will be using the Shining Sunshine Yuki this time because the boss break move will change to Sword and Holy. Then when the enemy is on break, I will switch to Dagger and use the Treasure Hunter Philia before using the Behemoth Sword skill again. At this point, I will also collect the switch until level 3, while keeping the skill rotation. Then when the boss is closer to the 25% mark, I will use my rush and the switch level 3 to hopefully kill the boss before the boss can use the bigger Holy Sword break move, because I still cannot break this move. So with this build and strategy, I was able to kill the boss in less than 4 minutes, which is within my comfortable time to farm this boss. That's it for the guide. Hopefully this guide is useful for you to come up with the builds and strategy to fight this boss. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you like this content, and if you want to see the strategy to fight another level 175 Chaos Armor boss, check out this video here and I will see you there. Bye now.